What's up, guys, and welcome back to the Dual Sense podcast. This is episode 7. I'm joined by Travis, one of your co hosts. My name is Jason. Travis, what's up today?
Not much, man. Took a half day to crush Ghost of Tsushima.
Did you get anything done? Did you make any progress?
I'm in the middle act too, so I'm kind of making progress. I'm at the point, you get those lulls where you feel like you're doing nothing pertinent.
Yeah, you're just
And
kind of roaming
yeah,
and yeah.
every game's like that, but that's where I'm at right now. But it'll change. I also haven't been doing the main missions. I've been saving those and doing some of the side ones. And you know how it
Mm.
is when you do the side ones without a character, they can be a little frivolous.
Yeah, they're a little boring. They don't have as much weight behind them.
Yeah, that's one way to put it.
Well, Travis, for the noobs out there, the newbies, this is a PlayStation podcast. We're a weekly podcast where we discuss all the news, rumors, upcoming game releases, and a whole lot more in the world of PlayStation. We post every Sunday. We are on platforms like Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and a whole lot more. And we hope to very soon be on YouTube. So look for us on there. And if you like what you hear, be sure to subscribe, rate us, even if it's harsh, that's cool. And share us with a friend if you can. So without further ado, Travis, why don't you talk to us about what you've been playing this past week? Besides, obviously, you've been playing Ghost of Tsushima. So talk to us a little bit about everything you've been playing.
That's all I've been playing. I haven't played anything else.
That's it.
Yeah.
Nothing else.
Yeah, I'm trying to beat it. You know how it is. And I get these little fits where I get hooked on a game and I want to finish it before I do anything else. And I did the same
Yeah.
thing with Red Dead and Heavy Rain. I did it with one of the Assassin's Creeds, I think. You know how it is. You just get sucked in. So that's what I'm doing right now. And I'm trying not to I'm not sprinting through it, so that's part of the reason it's taking a while.
Has your opinion of it changed at all? Like, do you think more of it, less of it, or without spoilers, of course? How do you feel about it?
It's about the same.
Yeah.
As you get better, your combat gets better, partly because your skills get better, but also partly because you learn how to time stuff and you get better at kind of what to expect. So from those perspectives, the longer you play, it does change because of that naturally, and it makes it more fun and interesting, keeps it a little bit new. I'm at the point where when I make a mistake, it's almost surprising, especially on the standoffs, and it's a little frustrating, but that's part of it.
Yeah, I've also been playing Ghost of Tsushima, and it's weird because like sometimes what you just described will happen to me too. It's like I'll go 10, 15, 20 minutes where I just can't be touched, right? Like I'm parrying everything, I'm timing everything correctly, and then I'll go to another fight and I just for whatever reason every time that they try to hit me with an unblockable attack. I don't dodge at the right time. The
Yeah.
spear guys just smack me. The one guys that like jump and do the sweeping spear attacks and stuff.
Hmm.
Like they'll get me every time, stuff like that. So I just get these like brain farts basically where I'm just not as good at the game.
Yeah, it's
But
like you're overloaded.
right. But it's a very good game, and it's still what I've been saying about it in the past is still true as far as the more I play it, the more I like it. It's a beautiful game. I spend a chunk of my time taking pictures. I'm a considerable amount, or I am considerably farther behind in the game than you are.
Yeah,
And John, our friend John,
he's
has
done.
already beat the game. Yeah, he's done. He's working on the platinum, so
Yeah,
I'm
I
way
think
behind you
I'm
guys.
I think I'm over halfway. I'm pretty sure. Probably 60, 70%. I mean, from what you told me, I think you're maybe in the 40, 35, 40 range.
Really? Okay, well, that's not too
Something
bad.
like that. And it's not too bad. I also think, and it's hard to say this last week, but in the week since, played more missions with the side characters that you get to meet, and
Mm.
I think they did a really good job developing those characters, and it's hard to smash in a backstory into a game when you're just meeting these characters. And I think they did a pretty good job of establishing kind of some backstory or some history with these guys, making them a little bit more interesting than a lot of games have in the past. And I don't know if I sent you that video of these guys that were making fun of first person shooters, but he's on the front line and he's shooting, and this guy walks up and he's like, "Oh, I bet this is my best friend." And the guy's like, "Hi, I'm glad to see you, man. I haven't seen you since we were back home. I'm glad you're still alive." And he goes, "Oh, great. Okay, so you're my best friend. and you're gonna die.
You just know immediately.
Yeah, so I haven't ran into any characters yet where I immediately was like, they're gonna be like X, Y, or Z. There's multiple characters where I have some theories, and we
Mm.
can talk about those when we both finish. We'll see. I might be wrong on all of them, and I probably will be wrong on most of them. But like I said, I think they did a really good job with that part of the game.
I did have my first big kind of plot twist last night that happened to me. I think you know which one I'm talking about based
Yeah,
on where I'm at, but I kind of saw it coming, but I was like, no, that's, not really. And then
yeah,
I didn't see it coming until like the very last minute because something kind of odd happens or something
yeah,
kind of odd is said in a conversation. And I was kind
yeah,
of like, that is weird. And then, like 10 minutes later, the plot twist is revealed to you. So that's cool that they're kind of doing that with the
yeah,
story. So
and
it's not cookie cutter, so to speak.
yeah, and I had the same reaction you did, where I was kind of onto it and I wasn't
Hmm.
at the same time. And
Right.
but I wasn't surprised at all when it happened. It actually, I mean, I was surprised, but I wasn't. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So I've also been playing Red Dead Online. As we discussed last week, it got a big update on Tuesday. I believe it or not, I've not played the update content yet as far as the role for the naturalist
What are you waiting
for
for?
two reasons. After I talked all that shit
You
for
did.
two reasons. Number one, I've been just trying to make sure that I carve out time for Ghost of Tsushima, knowing that Red Dead's not going anywhere because
True.
I'm gonna play that into the PS5, on and so on, and further on. The second reason is because I've been reading on Reddit about some glitches that people have come across since the update with the new role stuff. So I kind of am giving them a few days to put a hot fix out for that, a patch basically on their end and fix some of that stuff before I do it because not that it would happen, but I don't want to go spend, 100 gold bars and then it get wiped out by a glitch or something like that. So the other thing is that I've been kind of reading about how like in depth this role is as far as it's basically like doing all the animal stuff in the single player. They've essentially brought that over to online. So I know it's kind of
Tedious.
time consuming. Yeah, it's kind of time consuming and tedious and whatever. So I don't want to just, go 100 miles an hour into it. Like I just want to kind of enjoy it at my own pace. And I've been unlocking some stuff for the Outlaw Pass and things like that, which is cool. So it's still cool. It's weird though because there's still glitches. Like I've still got disconnected from the server a few times and different stuff. I've spawned in on my not on my camp when I've selected spawn on my camp.
Mm-hmm.
It's like when they do these updates, it's almost like how when you go to open up a Word document and at some point in the past you accidentally saved the document as two separate documents. So you have the same document, but one was updated last like 3 years ago, and then one was updated like a week ago. But they look like they're basically named the same. Well,
Yeah.
you accidentally open the one that was updated 3 years ago, and then you start working on that, and so you lose 3 years of progress. And it's almost like when they update the game, that's what's happening because it's like they fix the game, but they revert back. We get some of these old errors and glitches and things like that. It's so weird how that stuff can still be in the game. But
Yeah, it's weird. It's like when you edit something on Word and then the page numbers won't match up. They
yes,
start bouncing around
exactly.
and the picture moves the font.
Yes, exactly like that. So, but it's fine. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, when you have big open world online games like that, they're glitchy. So it's still better than most stuff out there. And then also, and finally, I've been playing, as I mentioned last week, or I have not been playing, but I played over the weekend a super secret game that I mentioned the last episode that I was playing that I couldn't talk about. I still can't
Mhm.
talk about it. Still can't talk about it, but what I can tell the folks is that the game is not very good, in my opinion. It was kind of boring. Like I was dozing off at some points, like we've talked about that I have done before. I was dozing off. It was somewhat difficult to control, and I just there was no kind of excitement or like real action or like weightiness to what was going on in the game, like no punch.
Mhm.
So it just kind of bored me.
Just
So
generic in general.
yeah, it just kind of bored me, and So I don't think I'm gonna be picking that one up, and I will not recommend it whenever the
So
time comes.
on a scale of 1 to 5, you would rate it as I fell asleep.
Yes, I would rate it as I snored. And I'm not gonna be visiting any far distant galaxies anytime soon. That's all I've been playing. Just those few games, and it's been a good week though. So with that, Travis, let's get into the news. And we have a pretty big news week, as I'm sure you saw. There's a lot to talk about here in the notes that went on this week with PlayStation. Some are more substantial than others. Some are just kind of rumors, but nevertheless worth talking about. Number one, British website mcvuk.com reported that UK gamers much prefer the upcoming PlayStation 5 over the Xbox Series X. The article states, quote, according to new research, over half of all gamers plan to buy a next gen console within 3 months of launch in the UK, with Sony's PlayStation 5 the clear device of choice, end quote. The research they are referring to is a survey of more than 3,000 people in the UK compiled by pop culture agency Experience 12. What's a pop culture agency? The data was collected through Comic Con online channels and found that, quote, when asked to choose with which upcoming console they were most excited about, 84% named PlayStation 5 compared to 15% who are most anticipating the Xbox Series X, end quote. So, Travis, what do you make of this?
I think it's hilarious, first of all, because of the gap in the percentages. And, we've given Xbox a hard time on this podcast and just in our general lives, probably for the last, what, 2 generations since the 360.
Oh, yeah.
The 360 I thought was a great console. I thought the 3 was a great console too. I enjoyed them both. I didn't have any issues with either. I had them both. And part of the reason that I had them both was I thought that PlayStation did a much better job with certain types of games, exclusives and whatnot. But I thought Xbox did a better job with kind of like sports games and things of that nature for whatever reason. That's just how I liked them. It's like, we talked about before, that's pretty much gone now. The consoles are on a different level with each other as far as we're both concerned. But the funny part to me is 84 to 15% is much, much larger than I anticipated.
It's a big gap. And granted, this is only UK, right? Like, this is only our friends across the pond. But you can extrapolate that out to see that Sony has a huge market share, even in just mind space with people, right? As
Yeah.
far as what they're thinking about, what's on their mind. And it's kind of, you can tie it in easily to all the things that we've been talking about, in the weeks past, as far as we talked one week about how the PlayStation 5 reveal was one of the most viewed YouTube videos or live streams ever and things like that. And the Instagram post with the DualSense controller was one of the most viewed Instagram posts ever and things like that. So people were just fired up, for lack of a better term, about the PlayStation 5. And it really goes back to, I think that there's just poor mixed messaging for Xbox, and they just won't get out of their own way. And they're still going to die on this hill of, you don't need to buy this Series X for the first couple of years. And, Game Pass, you're going to get all of our games on day one. And this sort of stuff. And then you see what they did with their first party games reveal and how kind of lackluster that is. And it's just, there's a palpable like excitement with PlayStation 5. Like every day people are waiting to hear some news. I don't really see that for Xbox.
Yeah.
So
And part of it too is if you think about, and you alluded to this, but where does PlayStation and Xbox kind of live in the ether of the gaming world? And we
mhm.
always say PC master race. They're kind of their own thing, and that's fine. Nothing wrong with that. But when you think about PlayStation, the first parties are just leaps and bounds ahead of Xbox. And
Mhm.
hey, look, Halo's fine. There's rumors that parts of it might be free to play. That's fine. And that's cool, but
Mhm.
why do you think that is? It's because they don't have any interest. And
Mhm.
in my world, the games I play the most, the only Xbox game people talk about is Forza. And just to be honest, Gran Turismo is a much better simulation, and Forza is kind of like what you play when you want to kind of fuck around and you want to wreck people and not take it seriously. And
Yeah,
that's what Xbox is. It's not a serious console to a lot of consumers. And that makes it, I think when people put their time into something, they want to be rewarded and they want to know that that object, whatever it is going to operate at the level they expect and they need. And when you have a system the system might be great, don't get me wrong, but if the games suck, it doesn't matter. It goes to anything else like people who want a nice house, it's cool that the house looks nice, but if the plumbing doesn't work, who gives a shit?
exactly. So I don't know if there's anything necessarily for Xbox to worry about. Conversely, for PlayStation to write home about right now, like it's cool that this survey is showing it. I guess the next gen console race to be so one sided, and there's definitely something here to that. I think to be said about how next generation is going to shake out, but at the same time, a survey is one thing, and how people actually choose to spend their money is another thing. So, however, you definitely want people to be excited about your console. And I think that the next big move that Sony can make to really put a nail in Xbox's coffin, so to speak, not the nail, but a nail, is if they come out and they announce price, release date, and and open up pre-orders before Xbox with this kind of level of excitement, that's going to be hard for Xbox to overcome.
Yeah. Especially if the price is kind of what we're hearing it will be.
Hmm.
I mean, people are going to jump on it.
Yeah, people, and even people that, especially those people who are on the fence, like, wow, both look cool, but I can only buy one. If a buddy says, "Hey, I got a PS5, you should pick up one." Those on the fence people are gonna say, "Okay, cool. I guess I'll just pre-order a PS5. I'm gonna go
Mhm.
PS5
Yep.
this gen." Number two, Travis, website The Sixth Axis reported that the PlayStation 5 feature that allows instant access to certain parts of games is called, quote, the PlayStation 5 Activity System. This info was revealed by WRC9 game director Alan Jarneau, of all people, and product manager Sebastian Waxen during an interview with Game Reactor Spain. In the interview, they said, quote, the function of the PlayStation 5 activity system will propose instant deep link links from the start menu to directly access races or parts of the game with the intention of keeping players hooked, in air quotes. The Game Reactor Spain interview has since been taken down.
Uh-oh.
So what do you? Yeah, I think there's a little something to this. What do you make of this?
Sounds like the mothership called into Game Reactor told them to take that down.
Yeah, they took that down for a reason. I mean, if there was nothing there, and they would have just left that up, but it sounds like somebody from Sony PR called or an emailed and said, "Hey, that needs to come down."
I'm not 100% sure I fully understand what this
Right.
means, and it just seems like another extension of a lack of loading screen almost.
Hmm.
I don't know what to make of it. Do you really understand it in a more detail?
No, I'm kind of like you. Like, to me, this just sounds like faster loading times. Like, I can get directly into a match of team deathmatch on Call of Duty right from the start screen. So it sounds like they're just saving us a couple of menus to work through. I don't really understand that. So it's one of these things that's going to stay murky until they actually show us the user interface and show it in action. So
Mhm.
maybe it's really cool, but right now I just can't wrap my mind around what's so revolutionary about it, I guess. Number three, more photos of the PlayStation 5 from the production line leaked online this week and were posted on website A9VG. These new photos were of the white outer shell pieces of the console, and a couple of interesting things can be inferred from the pictures. First, a piece of standard size paper is shown laying on a shell piece, and the shell is significantly larger than the paper, indicating the console is a bulky one. And secondly, that the shell pieces may be interchangeable, as there did not appear to be any screws or other hardware needed for attachment to the console, other than snapping them in place by hand. What do you think about this, Travis? You have interchangeable faceplates on the console, maybe?
Goes back to what we talked about a few weeks ago when we talked about kind of how PlayStation said that they'd have more creativity with the boxes or the consoles, and we
Hmm.
weren't really 100% sure what they meant. I think that this is our answer, that they'll have these instead of buying like, the Last of Us exclusive, you could buy the skin.
That'd be cool. That's a cool alternative.
Yeah, I'm okay with that. I mean, I would love to have a
Yeah.
Ghost of Tsushima PlayStation, but I'm not buying another system.
Yeah, that's fair. I think that's actually a really cool point. Like you see all these PS4 Pro special editions or whatever. Well, just make, a pack of shell plates that people can buy and make it easier for consumers to get those if they want. Did you know that apparently, I don't remember this, but apparently the base PlayStation 4, there's a top piece that you can pop off, like a top plate on it that you can change out as well.
That sounds familiar, but I'm not really sure what you would do with it. What were people doing with it?
I don't know. I want you to try it out. I want you to go get your PS4 and I want you to just rip the top off of it.
Okay. Maybe we could I could probably hydro dip it.
Number 4, Travis, the PlayStation 5 is estimated to ship at least 120 million units within the next 5 years, according to publication DigiTimes, as reported by website PlayStation Universe. The DigiTimes story reads, quote, Sony's new generation PS5 game console shipments are estimated to reach at least 120 million units in the next 5 years after launch in fourth quarter 2020, roughly double those for Microsoft's Xbox Series X, according to sources of its back-end supply chain in Taiwan, end quote. The article also calls into question the length of the upcoming next generation life cycle, writing, quote, the life cycle for household game consoles may be shortened to 5 years from 6 to 7 years, end quote. Does anything stick out to you here about this?
Is there theory about the console life changing because of the rate technology increases and will be obsolete by then? Is that what they're thinking?
I'm guessing, yeah, it has something to do with that we're just going to iterate on technology more frequently, which, I mean, you just look at phones, and computers, for instance.
Mm-hmm.
We're already doing that in those sectors of personal computers or personal technology, so to speak.
I mean, if it gets to the point where it's all interchangeable and you can change it yourself, it's really no different than PC.
Right. Right. And there's also this subset of people who think that game streaming is going to be like ready to be the way to play games in like 5 to 10 years.
Yeah.
So there's that, I guess, question mark too about it.
I feel like I've been hearing that for 5 to 10 years.
Yeah, exactly. The crazy part about this though, Travis, is that they're saying that Sony's going to sell 120 million PlayStation 5s in 5 years. They've sold 110 or 11 million PlayStation 4s in 7 years. So they're saying with 2 less years, they're going to sell more PlayStation 5s. That is insane. Number 5, video game industry insider Tidix, who has notably been hit or miss on leaks and rumors in the past, shared on Twitter this week that, quote, PlayStation's next dev kit update arrives in a few weeks, which will feature retail mode so devs can see what the final setup will be. The current system is debug only with PlayStation 4 retail mode. Expect that PlayStation will show it off before it goes live to avoid leaks. End quote. What do you think? You think we're going to get a PlayStation user interface reveal here soon?
Is it going to be a surprise reveal? Because there's nothing really set up unless you did it at the Ubisoft thing in August, really.
Yeah, so they are planning on having a state of play. Sony is
Right.
in August. In August, we just don't know. We just don't know when that's going to be. In the past, state of plays have been game related and
Mm-hmm.
not hardware related
Correct.
per se. So I'm assuming, and I think everybody else is, that they're going to do that at the state of play stream or video, however you want to look at it. So I guess that's the safe bet. But there is some truth to this. If they're going to give developers the retail mode update, basically the final user interface update, that's going to leak. I mean, everything. Look at
100%.
everything. Look at everything else that leaks from developers. So they've got to get out ahead of that, I think.
Yeah, this is for Tidex, this is a pretty safe thing to say, even if they made it up.
Agreed. Number 6, Sony announced the August PlayStation Plus lineup via the PlayStation blog on Monday. This month's free offerings include, as we correctly predicted last week, Travis, Devolver Digital's new multiplayer party game, Fall Guys Ultimate Knockout, giving PlayStation Plus subscribers launch day access to the game on August the 4th. Also on offer is Infinity Ward's Modern Warfare 2 campaign remastered, which became available on Tuesday, July 28th. What do you think about this month's offerings?
Love that it was called here on the pod, first
Yep.
of all. And I'm not gonna play Modern Warfare 2 again. I'm good. I've reached my
Yeah,
chalice is full, but I am excited to do the Fall Guys with the boys.
me too.
I think it looks fun. It looks like it'll be hilarious, just like Gang Beast was.
Hmm.
It's one of those games where like I really really want to win, but when I lose, I'm not going to be that upset probably.
Yeah, you'll probably laugh about it. It's getting really good preview coverage.
Yeah,
It seems like it's a really fun game. So I plan on downloading it on the 4th so we can try it out. Maybe take a little break from Ghost of Tsushima. So
it's a little different. It's a little unique. I think that's part of the reason that it's gotten a little momentum behind its pub.
yeah, and these are the type of games like that are perfect for PlayStation Plus, like this, and Rocket League is a big success story. So this might be another success story for PlayStation Plus. Just put it on there and take your money and let the audience grow. Number 7, it would appear that this year's Call of Duty game has been confirmed to be Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War after images of Doritos chip bags surfaced on the internet featuring
Perfect.
the game's logo and a double XP marketing promotion. It is well past due for us to receive the annual Call of Duty reveal, with the rumor mill believing that a Call of Duty announcement is coming during the next PlayStation State of Play. It's also worth noting, Travis, that historically, Call of Duty, or Activision, the publisher, does have a relationship with both Frito Lay for the Doritos chips and PepsiCo for the Mountain Dew drink
Right.
to do XP and code giveaways. So, what do you think about this?
I don't associate anything more with Call of Duty than Mountain Dew and
Mm-hmm.
Doritos. Those
Yep.
and I guess it's the marketing ad, but it's also the memes. It's also kind of the player base. You just imagine these guys, like on South Park, you imagine the guys at the computer just clicking away, smashing food in their mouth, like, calling for mom
Uh huh.
so they can bring them more Mountain Dew or whatever. Anyway, so on that front, it's kind of perfect that they're the ones that leaked this, and it's also kind of hilarious to be. Listen, I know that Doritos makes a crap ton of money. So does Frito Lay. I understand they're $1 billion company, but you're Activision and you put all this time into this game. Nobody knows what it is, and you get you get leaked by a bag of chips. That's kind of hilarious.
It is. Did you see the picture of it?
Yes.
It's convincing. I mean, that's hard to Photoshop. It
Oh,
looks like it's real.
yeah, there wasn't a doubt in my mind that it was real. I guess they could have photoshopped it, but that dude, if he's photoshopping stuff, the CIA needs him.
He's brilliant. Yeah, it had like the labeling and shit all on it. It looked real to me. So I think they're because PlayStation and Activision also have a marketing deal, right? Where like this year, for instance, PlayStation players got that survival game
Right.
mode,
Yeah.
for a year first, and then they get like the maps, like or they get certain shit for like 30 days free or 30 days early and things like that. So there's that relationship as well, and I think that that's part of where the rumor is coming from that Call of Duty is going to be at the next PlayStation State of Play. And I think that that's a safe bet because
Yeah.
it sounds like based on rumors on Twitter from game journalists that it's going to take place between August the 5th and August the 12th.
Mhm.
So I think that's and Call of Duty can't wait any longer, and neither can
No.
PlayStation. So I think those will line up those two
And
things.
if they hit the interface on that review and they release Call of Duty, it might surpass the numbers from the last one.
I know. And if they give us pre-orders and pricing
Oh,
info,
then it definitely will, yeah.
the internet's done. Number 8, website PlayStation Universe reported that the PlayStation 5 exclusive Spider-Man Miles Morales will include a remastered version of PlayStation 4's Spider-Man. This according to a Reddit post by a user who received their new copy of Game Informer magazine. A screenshot of the magazine includes part of a feature story on Spider-Man Miles Morales, which states, quote, Miles Morales isn't a traditional sequel since it comes bundled with a remastered version of Insomniac's Spider-Man that takes full advantage of the PlayStation 5 hardware, end quote. What do you think about this? You think there's truth to this and you think it's a smart idea if so?
People still get Game Informer?
I guess if they shop at GameStop they
I
do.
mean, I didn't know. Um,
Yeah, right?
this makes sense to me because when we heard about the new Spider-Man and how long the game was going to be,
Mhm.
I thought that it was a little thin. I wondered if there would be something else, but I didn't really have an idea of what else. I would have guessed maybe it's just some DLC and additional missions, stuff like that. But to throw in the game, one of the best-selling games of all time, I mean, it seems like it's pretty sly to me.
I think there's some truth to this for sure because do you remember when a while back when they first started kind of showing off what the PlayStation 5 could do, they used Spider-Man from
Yeah,
the PlayStation 4 to showcase the load times. Do you
yeah,
remember that?
yep. It was like, yeah,
So we know it runs on a PlayStation 5. So I think there's some truth to this.
seems like a simple conversion if they're already showcasing it before.
Yeah. And that way people who maybe are making the switch to PlayStation 5 and they're going to pick up Spider-Man Miles Morales, maybe they won't be lost on the story, you know what I mean? So cuz they'll have the first one with it and they'll be able to play that on the PlayStation 5 and then go right into Miles Morales if they want to. Number 9, a new job listing at Sony Studio Visual Arts Services Group confirms that the studio is working on a third-person action adventure game. The new job posting was relayed by website PlayStation Universe and reads in part, quote, "Are you a game developer with an appetite for high-quality third-person action adventure games? Sony PlayStation is building a new game." I feel like Ron Burgundy.
Yeah.
Sony PlayStation is building a new game development team in partnership with the Visual Arts Services Group. End quote. Travis, could this be a new Uncharted game or possibly a spinoff that's been rumored for a while now?
Yeah, is this supposed to be could this be the spinoff with the daughter?
Possibly. This is the same studio that's been rumored, because they're based out of San Diego, and there's
Right,
been a rumor going around that there's a studio in San Diego that's working on an Uncharted game.
right. And everything I've read or heard has been you're his daughter, whatever. So, hey, that's cool. I'm amazed by the people that write these job descriptions. Like, why do we have to do this? Why can't you just be like, here's what the job is. Do you want to do it or not? Like, you don't have to sell me on the job.
Right. It reads like a newspaper classified. Number 10, website PlayStation Universe reported that the newest issue of official PlayStation Magazine UK lists Gran Turismo 7 as a launch window title for the PlayStation 5, which you and I speculated for a little bit here. There has been no official word from developer Polyphony Digital or Sony on a release date for the game to this point. So, you're obviously more tuned into this than most people. So, do you think there's truth to this? You think it's a launch game, or at least like right around launch?
Yeah, I sent you that photo earlier this week of the French PS5 box that said December on it for Gran
That's right.
Turismo 7. Um,
Forgot about that.
I will say that the sim racing world is about to have a meltdown because they don't know when the game is coming out. I mean,
Really?
they're tweeting about it. They're putting it, when are we going to find out this? When are we going to find out that? They've gotten over the F1, the 2 or 3 weeks of F1 being new and shiny. So
They're
now,
done with that already.
oh, they're still playing it, but now they're like, what else is there? This is the last. This is our PS4 hoorah! So they want to look forward to the new system. And anyway, I would expect it to be a launch title. It would be. I would be surprised if it wasn't. I mean, it's their racing game for the launch.
Yeah, I didn't think to look this up before we're recording, but I wonder when's the last time, if ever, that a PlayStation console or a console in general has launched without a racing game. I feel like Gran Turismo was Gran Turismo Sport a launch game for PS4 or maybe not. Maybe it was Drive Club or it was supposed to be Drive Club, but then you look at even the Nintendo Switch had Mario Kart, right? I
Right.
think,
Yeah.
and then Xbox always has Forza now. So like that's just kind of like the thing you do. Like when you launch a console, you have a shooter, you have a racing game, maybe you have like an action game, right?
Yeah.
Number 11, new details regarding upcoming PlayStation 5 exclusive Horizon Forbidden West emerged online this week, also via the newest issue of official PlayStation Magazine UK. PlayStation Universe reported that the magazine revealed the sequel, quote, will take place between Utah and the Pacific Ocean, with both San Francisco and Yosemite Valley featuring as explorable locations. In addition, the Golden State Bridge has been submerged in the ocean, although it's still possible to spot its red towers overgrown with vegetation, end quote. Do you think this setting is appealing at all?
That sounds like a massive map.
Yes.
I mean, nothing wrong with that, but it sounds huge.
Yes. It does sound big. And they've said it's going to be bigger and better, obviously. But the way that it does sound big, but I don't know that it's as big as it sounds because, for instance, in the last one, the map supposedly spanned a pretty big portion of the United States then as well, I think. If you look at a game even like Death Stranding where you went coast to coast across the United States, they basically like miniaturized these things, right? You know
Hmm.
what I mean? Like they scale them down. So
It didn't take you weeks to walk across the map, you mean?
right. Even the games do that all the time. Like the Crew 2, it's the whole United States, but you can drive across the country in, an hour or whatever the hell it is. So it does sound big, but I think there will be a way that they'll scale that down. Or maybe they won't scale it down because it's the PlayStation 5. Or maybe they'll just want
Yeah,
to show
we don't have
maybe they'll
to.
want to yeah, maybe they'll want to show off.
And this is the perfect game for you. It's post-apocalyptic, stuff's underwater.
Oh god,
There's
so
is there
excited.
magic or something? I mean,
No magic, but there's, sci-fi technology shit going on,
close
so
enough. Hey,
perfect.
any science you don't understand is magic.
Ah, fair. It's a fair point. Number 12, film director David Ayer, who is the director of the upcoming Shia LaBeouf gangster movie, The Tax Collector, which looks awesome, by the way, shared a promotional graphic for the film on Twitter Thursday. The graphic included a list of video on demand services where the movie would release on August the 7th, next week. And interestingly, the services included PlayStation Now. Could this signal an expansion or revamp of the PlayStation Now service, Travis?
Theoretically, I don't know what they're doing with that service. It's never really appealed to me in a large way. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? And I've never been one to go back and play a lot of old games anyway. I guess so, but I mean, then again, if you're going to use it to revamp it, then that would suggest we're going to have more movies, right?
Yeah, so as far as I know, there's never been a movie on PlayStation Now to stream or download and watch or whatever. So I saw the tweet from David Ayer, and the image, I mean, I guess it could have been photoshopped. I don't know why David Ayer would tweet a photoshopped image because it had Xbox and some all kinds of stuff on there. So I guess it is kind of odd that they have Xbox, but I feel like you can do that on Xbox. So the fact that this has never been done before on PlayStation Now, to me, does signal that, if true, that they're going to expand that service. And the weird thing about it is that it's on August the 7th that the movie comes out, and we haven't heard anything about this. I wonder if they're just going to like put up a PlayStation blog post about this or something, if it's true, or what, how they're going to announce this. Basically, like they're going to have to address this. If they go from no movies on PlayStation Now to now all of a sudden here's a new release movie on PlayStation Now, they're going to have
Yeah.
to say something. They've got to say something about that.
Well, they only have a week. It's next Friday.
Yeah. So are they gonna? Are we? Does that mean? I guess as a follow up to that, does that mean that we're going to get a PlayStation State of Play between now and then, and they're going to talk about it there? Maybe, or are they just, like I said, are they just going to put out a press release, a blog post, or whatever, and say, "Hey, guess what? Now you get movies on PlayStation Now." So I'm interested to see.
If they take if they're really taking this seriously as a revamp, you'd think it would be worthy of more than a blog post.
Right? Yeah. That bring that to State of Play. That's cool. Say, hey, you're going to get for your $60 every year. You're going to keep getting games and shit, but now you're going to get some. We're going to sprinkle in some movies. That's awesome. Number 13, website Dual Shockers reported that acclaimed horror artist Junji Ito has been in contact with Hideo Kojima about a possible collaboration on a new horror game. In an interview at Comic Con 2020, Ito said, quote, I do know director Kojima, and we have been in conversation that he may have a horror based game that he may be doing. And so he has invited me to work on that, but there are no details on it yet, end quote. So Travis, Hideo Kojima, obviously Death Stranding, Metal Gear Solid fame, and so on. There was a while back before he did Death Stranding that he was rumored to be working on a Silent Hill reboot game with Norman Reedus as the main character.
Hmm.
So, and then now, since he's been done with Death Stranding, these rumors have picked back up about him doing a horror game, possibly still a Silent Hill game. So, what do you think about this? Do you think this is a surefire sign that he's working on that?
If I know Kojima, which I don't, but from my impression of him, I would assume he's working on a lot of things at once.
Hmm.
And most people that are artists like him, directors like him, they have multiple things in the fire. I mean, we see that with Scorsese. He's got rights to this movie. He bought this book. He's filming this. He's doing this for whatever. So until he makes a decision as to what pops out to him, who knows? If he's talking to that guy, he's at least doing groundwork for some sort of horror game. And as you know, I don't understand the point of those games, so it sounds terrible.
Yeah, I won't play it. I don't like to be scared typically when I play games, so it's not for me. But I know this is big news for number one, the people who are fans of Hideo Kojima, and number two, people who were fans of the PT demo that he did for that was Silent Hill, basically, that he put on the PlayStation Store years ago, and that people really adored. So people were excited about him possibly making a horror game. So this seems to be a little hint at that. Number 14, Sony revealed two new televisions in their Bravia line of TVs on Wednesday, as reported by PlayStation Universe. Those guys reported everything this week, by the way. The models X90H and Z8H are both being marketed as, quote, ready for PlayStation 5 and will include support for 4K resolution at 120 frames per second with a low input lag of 7.2 milliseconds. The higher end model, the Z8H, will support 8K resolution at 120 frames per second. Both models will also feature a Bravia game mode that automatically turns on to play your PS5 games with low latency, and the DualSense controller can also be used to control the televisions as well. What do you think about this? Will this convince you to upgrade your television for next gen?
I do think this is kind of cool.
Yeah, I do too.
And it reminds me of when we started seeing DVDs built into TVs. And then all of a sudden we saw smart TVs. And it's
Yeah.
like all this integration is fascinating. And we're moving towards this kind of almost, what do they call it? Is it in Fahrenheit 451 where they have the wall TV? Or is that
Hmm.
1984? I just feel like we're slowly moving towards that. But anyway, no, I think this is pretty sweet. I mean, to be able to use your controller, it's going to be built in, it's made for the thing. I mean, I know that a lot of people have game rooms or theaters, whatever you call them, home theaters, and that TV they only use for games. So
Right.
if it's if it's a TV that's made for that, there's certainly a market for it. There's no reason to think it isn't worth your time or isn't interesting.
So I do have a 4K HDR TV that is a Sony Bravia TV right now. I got it when I got my PlayStation 4 Pro. And I've told you before, it's a huge difference between 1080p, my old TV with no HDR to what I have now. The most noticeable difference is the HDR for sure. But as somebody who has a 4K HDR TV already, I got to say that I am interested in one of these TVs, especially because they're going to have the 120 frames per second capability. They're going to be able to be controlled by the DualSense controller. And then there's this big thing about being future proof right now and having HDMI 2.1, which I don't necessarily know what that means, but people say if you're going to buy a TV for gaming, you just need to go ahead and get one that has HDMI 2.1, which these both will. So I'm telling you right now, if you're going to get a PlayStation 5, which I know you are, it's time for you to get, at the bare minimum, you need to get you a budget 4K HDR TV. It's time. Number 15, Ghost of Tsushima received a new update this week, which included new difficulty settings for the game. The first of which is lethal difficulty level, which makes both enemies and Jin more deadly, increases enemy aggressiveness, and shrinks parry and dodge windows. The second setting is lower intensity mode, which is designed to keep the feel of combat while giving the player more time to react to time sensitive combat elements like blocking and parrying. So, what do you think about this?
I have noticed the smaller windows on my parries, and
Mm,
that almost feels more realistic. I feel like it should be difficult to do that. I'm sure it's
hmm
hyper difficult in real life. I don't know how many sword fights you've been in, but I haven't really been in a lot.
You'd
Um,
be surprised.
since the update, I think the combat has been better, and the guys don't feel like damage sponges. Some of the brutes are difficult to beat, but that's why they're brutes. But again, they don't feel like damage sponges like on the division. Like when you hit somebody and there's no damage, it's because they legitimately blocked it or they dodged or they parried, whatever.
hmm
And that's awesome. I like that feel. It feels kind of more realistic to me, just with those smaller windows. And you are more deadly in some situations. Like if you catch somebody off guard and they're not ready for you, it doesn't take much.
Yeah, it's we talked about it earlier, but I float back and forth between pretty good at combat and I'm sucking at combat. So I don't know that I'm ready for a much higher difficulty. I'm definitely not going to go down to the lower intensity. Like
No.
I'm just gonna play like the standard. However they want me to play, that's how I'm gonna play. So
Yeah.
that's how they meant it to be.
And as much as I would like to play in the black and white film mode, I can't imagine myself
Mm.
playing this game all the way through again. It's way too much.
Number 16, Travis. We have several news nuggets again this week that we need to get through here. We don't necessarily have to talk about all of them, but if there's something that stands out, we'll stop and jump in here. The first little news nugget: publisher Ubisoft announced that free-to-play battle royale game Hyperscape will launch on PlayStation 4 on August 11th. 2K Games received approval from the NFL Players Association to feature the union's players in their upcoming non simulation football game, which is scheduled to release on PlayStation 5 sometime in 2021.
Does this sound like the type of game to you that wouldn't be whatever the full price standard is?
Yeah, this sounds like a $40 game to me.
That's what I was thinking.
However, we're talking about 2K.
You're right. I'm
So
sorry.
it's probably going to be $60 and it's going to be filled with
Yeah,
microtransactions.
everybody, it's an express commercial with Jordans.
Yes. Also, Travis, Studio MDHR, the developer of vintage looking side scroller Cuphead, has released the game on PlayStation 4 as announced during a Summer Game Fest stream earlier this week. PlayStation documentary From Bedrooms to Billions: The PlayStation Revolution will release on Blu-ray and digital platforms on September the 7th and features interviews with the likes of Mark Cerny and Hideo Kojima. Ubisoft has clarified confusion around Far Cry 6 graphical fidelity on PlayStation consoles by confirming that it will indeed support 4K on PlayStation 5 and PlayStation 4 Pro.
Oh, thank God. I was about to off myself.
Me too. You'd really want to off yourself if you had a 4K TV.
Uh-huh.
The Also, Travis, the president of Square Enix, Yosuke Matsuda, revealed in a recent interview that upcoming PlayStation 5 game, Project Athea, is indeed an open world game. Sony is sending $10 PlayStation Store credits to PlayStation Plus subscribers to celebrate the 10-year anniversary of the service. It appears, however, that only original subscribers to the service are receiving the $10. A new update for action Soulsborne game, Sekiro Shadows Die Twice, will release on October 29th and includes new modes, forms, and outfits. During a recent company financial presentation, publisher Koei Tecmo seemed to reveal that Persona 5 Scramble, the Phantom Strikers, will be coming to PlayStation 4 in the West in the near future. And also, Travis, there are several game announcements. Developer Snowcastle Games announced that a sequel to Earthlock Festival of Magic, titled simply Earthlock 2, is in development and will launch in 2022.
I didn't even know there was a first one.
Developer Mass Creation announced that side scrolling arcade action game
Yep.
Shing,
There you go.
well, there's an exclamation point, will launch on PlayStation 4 on August 28th. Developer All Interactive announced that rhythm action first person shooter roguelike, Jesus guys, BPM Bullets Per Minute will release in 2021 for consoles.
Aside from the genre they just made up,
Phew.
that does sound kind of interesting. A rhythm shooter game? Like, How is
Yeah.
that working? Because I'm picturing DJ Hero or like one of those DDR machines.
Yeah. I watched some gameplay for like 30 seconds on it. It looks cool. It looks kind of like Doom to me, but
Yeah.
didn't have audio on, so I don't really understand where the rhythm comes in there. Also, Travis, online third person toy soldier shooter, The Mean Greens Plastic Warfare, will launch on PlayStation 4 on August 5th. Developer Virtual Basement announced. Did you look this one up?
No, but it sounds like some like Green Deal bullshit.
You need to look this game up. Did you ever play the Toy Soldiers
Yes.
game on like Sega Genesis back in
Yes,
the
I
day
did.
and
I loved it.
PlayStation 1, I guess? Dude, this is it. This is the game, but for 2020.
Perfect.
It looks kind of cool. You need to look it up. Also, publisher 505 Games announced that they will bring open world zombie survival sandbox game. How many genres do we got to have, guys?
Yeah, tell me about it.
Unturned to PlayStation 4 this fall. Developer Playful Studios announced that 3D platformer New Super Lucky's Tale will release on PlayStation 4 on August 21st. First person puzzle platformer Metamorphosis will launch on PS4 on August 12th. Publisher All In Games and developer Ovid Works announced. There's another exclamation point there. Publisher Buka Entertainment and developer Epic Llama, great name, announced that point and click adventure game Darkestville Castle will release on PlayStation 4 on August the 13th. The upcoming licensed Peaky Blinders puzzle adventure game titled Peaky Blinders Mastermind will release on PlayStation 4 on August 20th.
You excited?
I'm a little bit interested. I watched some gameplay on it. I don't know if you have. It's like a top-down stealth game, basically.
Yeah,
It's kind of cool.
that might be fun.
Yeah. 2D side scroller Dungreed will release on PlayStation 4 on September the 24th. Publisher Picky and developer Team Hooray announced. And that is all for the news. Let's get in, Travis, to this week's new game releases. As always, the PlayStation blog failed us yet again. So thank God for the guys at PlayStation Lifestyle. I will read their list here of new game releases. In North America this week on PlayStation 4, we're getting 112th Seed, Aircraft Evolution, Black Desert, Creeks, Cuber's Arena, Cuphead, Dashball in Europe only, Demon's Tilt, Depth of Extinction, Destroy All Humans remake, Dragon Marked for Death, Epic Word Search Collection 2, read that last week, Escape Game Fort Boyard, Everreach Project Eden, Five Nights at Freddy's Sister Location, read that last week, Head Snatchers, also last week, Just Say The First Case HD, last week, Made of Scur, Max and the Book of Chaos, Need a Packet. There's a question mark there.
You work at
Need a
the
packet?
you work at the drive-thru at Taco Bell.
Oh, or you're a high school teacher.
Yeah.
Nicole? Oh, man. I wonder if that's like that one We Need to Talk last week. Is that the sequel?
Yeah, and she is the side chick. No, nobody named Nicole has ever been married.
Other Side, Rainswept, Samurai Showdown Neo Geo Collection, Skater XL, Super Toy Cars, Tannenberg, Ty the Tasmanian Tiger HD, World War I Game Series Bundle. Also, on PlayStation Vita this week, we're getting several games. Big week for the PlayStation Vita. Big Dipper, Epic Word Search Collection 2, which we read last week, Mushroom Heroes, Need a Packet, Ultra Core. Oh, shoot.
Yep.
Yamutsutsu regarding after and Yamutsutsu regarding master.
I don't think you got that right, but
What in the hell is that? Also, I read about 12 of those games last week. What are we doing? And that is all for the new game releases this week. Hope you guys find something you enjoy, except for Yumumutsu. Travis, let's start to wrap things up here this week. And this week, we're going to do another blast from the past. It's a game that you and I both hold near and dear to our hearts yet again. It's a game that I also still own for the PlayStation 2, and it's titled Winback Covert Operations. Do you remember this game?
Oh yeah, we crushed that basically on the split screen LAN bot mode. Is that what you
Mm-hmm.
call it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was. We how many hours do you think we put into that?
Way too many. Way too many. It was a co-op multiplayer game, like you said, and all we did was just kill the bots. We just did like the AI bot mode. Occasionally we would play against each other, I
Hmm.
think with maybe bots on our team.
Hmm.
But it was a very early take on the cover the third person cover based shooter.
Yeah, you had actually a cover system.
We played very little of the campaign or the story mode. I remember we played like maybe 2 missions or levels or whatever, and we
Yeah,
were just kind of like, all
whatever.
right, whatever. Let's go let's go back to the other stuff. So this is an awesome game. It's underrated and I have many fond memories of it. So let's tell the people a little bit about this game. I've got it pulled up on Wiki here. So Winback was known as Winback Covert Operations in North America and Operation Winback in Australia and Europe. It's a third person shooter video game developed by Koei's Omega Force Studio for the N64 in 1999 and then for the PlayStation 2 in 2000 and 2001. A second game with no related storyline, Winback 2 Project Poseidon, produced by Cavia for the PlayStation 2 and Xbox game consoles, was released on April 25th, 2006. That's odd. I never knew there was a sequel.
Yeah, I didn't either.
Yeah, that was for the Xbox. That was right before the 360 came out. So we almost got one on last gen. The story follows one Jean-Luc Cougar. Remember that? A secret agent infiltrating a laser satellite's command center. Gameplay revolves around its innovative cover system, in which the player takes cover behind corners and then ducks out to shoot. The player cannot move while shooting. I remember that
Yeah,
now too.
you had to like lock on.
You did. You had to stop and lock on and shoot. The player cannot move while shooting. Instead, the control stick is used to aim, a task made easier by the fact that every weapon is equipped with a laser sight. I remember that also.
Yes.
This is awesome. Hang on. This is so cool. I did not realize this. Winback's cover system eventually went on to influence several later shooters, including Metal Gear Solid 2, Sons of Liberty,
Huh.
and Kill Switch, which in turn influenced games like Gears of War.
That's cool.
Yeah, the cover system has since become a staple of third person shooters. Winback also featured a laser sight mechanic that was later incorporated in action games such as Metal Gear Solid 2 and Resident Evil 4, and in turn would also become a staple of third person shooters. So, Travis, Winback was developed by Omega Force, who is much more widely known for the Dynasty Warriors games. So can you believe that the same
Wow.
people who make can you believe that the same people who make Dynasty Warriors made our beloved Winback?
I mean, they made a hell of a game, so it's not surprising both of those games are actually pretty good.
It really stands out that they did that because they named their characters like the main guy is Jean-Luc Cougar. That's such a Dynasty Warriors game.
It really
Like
is.
a game name. It's outrageous. I remember there being all kinds of different characters, and I remember I like to play, and they each had their own guns. Do you remember this? Like,
Yeah, because I was always Dan. I always wanted to be Dan because I had unlimited
yes,
ammo. Dan the man.
and he had a revolver. He had like a 44 Magnum,
Yeah, and it was
right?
badass.
Yeah, and then I think there was a girl that had like a MP5, and then there was one guy that had like a quad rocket launcher. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Dude,
Boom.
that was such a good game.
Uh,
I think one of my favorite board on that was, do you remember the level where you're in like the computer like surveillance room basically? Do you remember
yes.
that when there's like computers in the front and like a big screen on the wall?
Yeah, yeah.
Stuff like that. That was probably my favorite board to play on.
That's the one I remember the most. And there's that one outside where we
Mhm.
had like those air conditioner handlers we had to hide behind.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Totally forgot about that. That's such a great game. Do you have a PlayStation 2 as well? I know you have a PlayStation. We just need to start playing Die Hard and win back.
I don't have a 2 anymore. I don't know what happened to my last one.
We need to go up to see Johnny, and we just need to take these games up there so we can play with him.
Well, it's because he has every system ever made.
He does. He might actually. He really does. I think it's really crazy. Well, Travis, let's start to wrap things up here. Talk to me about what you're going to be playing in the week ahead.
Well, I guess I'm gonna try to beat Ghost of Tsushima this weekend. We'll see how close I can get. I definitely plan on playing the Battle Royale Gang Beast this week coming up, just to at least see how it is. And I'm sure it'll be fun. It can't be. I'm gonna say it can't be bad, but I can't imagine it's not a good time.
Yeah, I forgot about that. I'm looking forward to that as well. Playing with you guys, probably going to be a good laugh. Going to keep playing, plugging away on Ghost of Tsushima, taking my time through that. Hopefully, I can make some good progress this weekend. And of course, I'm going to be playing Red Dead Online for my daily challenges every day. And at some point, I'm going to try to jump into the new role and more of the update stuff and see how that is. Hopefully, they've done a hot fix on the back end or a patch and kind of fixed some of the issues, so I don't have to worry about any of that shit. So we'll see. But it should be a good week, and you're gonna crush this weekend because your wife is out of town, so you're gonna beat all the games.
Yeah, hopefully I'll smash Ghost of Tsushima. I don't. I only have one main mission left on Act Two, I think. So I've completely maxed out.
Jesus,
I've maxed out my skill set. I've maxed out all
good
my
lord.
stances. The only thing that I find really annoying is I have to keep playing the damn flute so that it'll stop raining.
God, you've crushed today. If you think you're about done with Act Two, well, that's it. That's all we've got, Travis. We are done with episode 7. As always, guys, thanks for joining us and giving us a listen. And if you enjoyed what you heard, don't forget to subscribe and give us a rating and share us with a friend if you don't mind. Thanks for joining us yet again. Travis, thanks for joining me to record. And we will see you guys next week.